guys, today I'm going to be showing you how I introduce the Ecollar to a dog. So this is Phoebe. She's here for a couple days of structured boarding, and while she's here I'm going to be introducing her to the Ecollar, kind of layering it onto some of her known commands, and then also teaching her some new things with it. So when we introduce a dog to the Ecollar, what we do first is we try to find the dog's working level. So what that means is it's the lowest level on the Ecollar that the dog can just feel. So the Ecollar goes from 0 to 100. Typically, a working level can be anywhere between 0 to 10. So really, really low levels, guys. I can't feel the Ecollar on my arm until it's level 20. So it's really low levels at 1 to 10. So what I'm going to be doing is I have the Ecollar on her behind her left ear. This is the micro educator. This is typically good for smaller, like toy breed dogs. It's very similar to the mini educator. The box is set up a little differently, so you can configure it for really small necks. She would be fine with the mini educator as well. So the first step. So the first step is, like I said, finding her working level. So all I'm going to be doing is going, right now I'm at level 1, and all I'm going to be doing is going tap, tap, tap on the collar and kind of seeing if I can tell that she is feeling it. No. So how I'll be able to tell if she's feeling it. It's a little bit harder with doodles or longer hair dogs, because you can't necessarily tell if it's making her muscles move. So if any of you have ever been to physical therapy and had a TENS machine put on you to help rebuild like some muscles if you were weak anywhere, that's kind of similar to what this sensation is. What it does is it gives electrostimulation to your muscles, so it's hey, no biting. So what you can tell if a dog it's working on a dog is you can usually see like one of their muscles in their neck kind of moving. Obviously that's really not going to be a good option with Phoebe. So sometimes you can tell if like they do a little ear twitch, or what I'm really looking for is for her to give me some kind of reaction that lets me know like, oh, I felt that. And then what we'll do is work on that level and just work on tapping. And once she looks at me, releasing the pressure and rewarding her. So kind of what we're just doing is conditioning her to essentially what this sensation is it means look at me, look at your handler. And that turns the sensation off. So why I like to start with this is because it's really low key, and it's teaching her right from the get-go that she has the ability to shut this sensation off. So this can actually be a really good confidence builder for like insecure, nervous dogs, because it shows them that they have an ability to control something going on. So instead of things always happening to them in the world, this can be a great way to show them like, oh, I feel the sensation. If I look at my handler, it goes away. So they feel like, oh, I can be in charge of this. It's not just something that's happening to me. I can kind of control when to turn it off. So that's what we're going to start with. I'll try to talk to you guys as I'm doing this if I think of things, but it might be a little hard while I'm working with her. So I'll let you know what level we end up landing on. And sometimes you will get to a level, and then once the dog is kind of tuned in and realizing what is going on, you're able to come back down a level, or a couple levels. And the working level is not necessarily always going to be the same, but it gives you a good starting point of like, okay, this is what she can feel in this moment. But I can talk about that later too. Okay, Phoebe. Okay. Alright, so she's at level 1, and it kind of seems like she's feeling this, so we're not going to go up at all. What I'm going to do is just assume that she feels this out of level 1 and start working on building it into some of her known commands. And then if I feel like maybe she's not feeling it, we can always go up after that. Babe. Sit. Yes. Sit. Yes. Baby. Sit. Yes. So all I'm doing right now is, we're at level 1. When I say the word sit is when I turn the collar on. So when I say sit, I press the button and the collar's on. I'm holding that button down until she does what I ask. So until her butt hits the ground, then I'm releasing the collar, and then she's getting a yes as to mark that she did it, and a treat. So all this is we call it, it's pressure on, pressure off, or escape training. So essentially it's showing her, when I ask, my voice is linked to this sensation. So when I ask you to sit, the sensation's going to turn on. Once you sit, the sensation's going to turn off, and you're going to get a reward. So teaching her the way to turn off the sensation is to listen to the command. So we're starting with things that she already knows, sit and down, and then she does know place, so we're going to start to work that in as well. Working place and break. I'm not sure she knows break that well, just from working with her a little bit yesterday. So we're just going to continue working at this level 1, and I'll let you know at any point if I decide we need to up a level, if it seems like she's no longer tuned in. But for now, 1 seems like the good level for her. All right, Phoebe. Sit. Yes. Down. Down. Yes. So I was holding down that whole time. So even if she looked like she was almost down, until her elbows hit that ground or that place board, that sensation's not going to turn off. Because you don't want to do it too early and then teach the dogs that they can kind of get out of completing the command. Down. Yes. Sit. 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 Yes. Good girl. Down. And the way I like to introduce the e-collar is I do use treats. So she's learning. You never want to introduce the e-collar as a negative or a correctional tool. It can be used for one. Like I said, it goes from 0 to 100. So you can go up levels to correct things, and I do that. So, my dog's whining over there. So Phoebe has a bad habit of, there's 2 young kids in the house. She does, like most dogs, like to jump up and kind of nip. So what we can do is once she has a good foundation of what this collar means, what the sensation is, and she learns, oh hey, I can turn this off, it's not just this thing that's happening to me, we can use it as a correction. So she's at a level 1. Maybe if she jumps up, I can work on this later with her, but if she jumps up on me, I'll go to a level 10. A 10 is still very low, but you don't want to jump up too high. Clearly she's one of the more sensitive dogs if she's working at a 1. But you need to go up a level if you're working on a correction, but we'll talk about that in another video. So we're just keeping it on level 1, and we're working through her known commands. Down. Yes. Sit. Yes. Down, pressure on. Yes, pressure off. I'm trying to show you guys as I'm doing it, but. Alright. Phoebe, place. Yes. So when I said the word place, I was holding down on the remote, and then when she got on, and I I like to have the dog sit before I release that. She gets the release of the command. Phoebe, place. Yes. The other thing is when you're introducing the e-collar is to work with a leash on the dog, because the e-collar is non-directional. It's a tool, it's a communication tool, but it doesn't necessarily tell the dog what you want of them. It's just another way to communicate with them. So the same way that commands are a way to communicate with their dog, we have to teach them what they mean. So a dog isn't born knowing that sit means to sit. So the leash is here to help guide the dog, to help them see what you're necessarily asking. Good girl. Down. Break. Good. For the break commands, I'm not using the e-collar at all. It's just she gets to break off of her placemat. And I use break as just her break command for everything. So anytime she's in command, she has to stay in command until she hears that break word. So that will be consistent through her training. Phoebe, place. Yes. Down. Yes. Break. Yes, good girl. Good girl. You can use, like I have been using treats, you can use praise. So what I typically will do is kind of use praise for break, because break in and of itself is kind of a reward, because they're being released from having to stay in command, and they can kind of go do whatever they want and that until they're commanded again. So I typically will just use praise for break. I don't really need treats when they're learning the break command. So that's kind of it. I'm going to continue working with her for a couple, maybe 10 more minutes on this. But that's how I introduce a dog to the e-collar. I wanted to show you guys this video. Phoebe? No. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what the e-collar is, what it's used for, how it's introduced. I think, and there may be some trainers out there that or owners that don't know when they get the e-collar and they throw it on their dog to correct something. They blast it up to a high level, and the first time the dog ever feels it, it's really high, and the dog's like, what the heck is happening? That's not an issue with the e-collar, it's an issue with the use of the e-collar and the training. So I'm a big fan of e-collars. I think they're really helpful in kind of bridging that gap of communication between you and your dog, because it's a tactile sensation that can help kind of communicate what you're asking your dog to do. And then, so I use it for all kinds of training, but especially if you ever want to work on off-leash stuff, this kind of becomes your invisible leash. Phoebe, sit, sit. So when there's been enough training that you can communicate solely with this, and you would have the leash dragging, then you can take the leash off, and it becomes a way to communicate with your dog, like tactily, without having the leash on them. So you can go on off-leash adventures and go hiking, and know that if a situation arises where you need to communicate with your dog, you have a way of doing that without having a leash on your dog. Phoebe, sit. Sit. Good girl. Yes. Good job. Okay. Thanks, guys.